Garden friends, today we are talking vegetable garden. We're going to talk about what flowers that you can actually plant in your vegetable garden that will bring you benefits. And you know what? One of them may surprise you. So let's get rolling. Yeah, today we are back in the greenhouse because even though it's sunny outside, it is icy cold. Even in here, well, it's come up, it was 32 degrees, but I have my little, I think it's called a bullseye or red eye heater in here, and it's bringing the temperature up. The sun hopefully will be hitting here soon. But I wanted to talk about flowers that you can plant in your vegetable garden that will bring you benefits. Now, I made a list here, as I usually do. I try to keep myself on track with you. And I still haven't posted the video on my favorite vegetables to grow because I'm whittling it down to make it less boring. But I did tell you I was going to post that, and I will very soon, of my favorite vegetables to grow in my garden. Now, flowers aren't just pretty things. They can be practical in your garden. They can have a practical effect as far as making your vegetable garden healthier and more productive. But how do you do that? Well, they attract pollinators. Can you see my breath? It's like frosty in here. They attract pollinators. So the flowers, they can attract things like the bees and the butterflies, and that helps your fruits and vegetables to be pollinated, and then they of course produce more fruit or veggie for you, whatever produce that you're hoping to get from it. They can help repel harmful pests. So certain flowers do have some natural pest resistant properties, and so this would reduce any need for you to use organic pesticides. I never use chemicals in any of my gardens, so I don't say chemical pesticides. I always try to encourage you to use organic methods in everything. But even some organic methods you have to use properly to have the best benefit from them without harming anything. Okay, others can improve soil health. They can fix nitrogen in the soil or help with erosion control or even act as a cover crop. So some can do that. Act as trap crops. Now, I read a book, and I will link it below, and I'll put the title up. I was going to grab the title before I came out here, and I forgot. But it has to do with the companion planting and how it can benefit your garden and what you can plant close and what the research has said can help. Like there's a certain squash or pumpkin bug that attracts away the squash bug from your others. And it's like you plant it away from the others, and it's like a trap crop like these. It attracts it. So that one is going to succumb to the bugs, and that's okay because it keeps them away from your others that you want to get fruit from. So encourages beneficial insects, and that kind of goes along with the pollinators, but beneficial insects like ladybugs, lacewings, and parasitic wasps, which prey on the harmful pests. So if you attract those and you see the harmful pests, if you've got the good beneficials, they will take care of the harmful pests for you. And that's when you really don't want to spray anything because some of the sprays can harm the beneficials too. So what are the best flowers to plant in your vegetable garden and why? We have talked about French marigolds in the past, and it's only the French marigolds. They repel nematodes that can be in your soil. I've not had a struggle with nematodes, but others I do know have. So they also repel aphids, mosquitoes, good to know, and whiteflies. So they attract pollinators and beneficial insects as well. So where you should place them, they're best placed along the edges of garden beds and near tomatoes and beans. One thing about the French marigolds, to really get the nematode benefit, you do need to plant a lot of them, and you leave them there through the summer. Another side benefit is if you feed the flowers to your chickens, you'll get very orange yolks. It makes them very, very orange. So nasturtiums. Now, some people consider these rather weedy. I haven't had that kind of problem with them. And even if they were to get really big, you just cut them back. But so they are a trap crop for aphids, and they deter squash bugs and cabbage loopers. So they have edible leaves, they're edible themselves, and flowers, and add a peppery flavor to salads. You have to go light with them because they can have a little bitter hint and they can be overpowering, but just they're kind of really pretty it up because they add the bright colors to it. So they're best near brassicas and climbing up trellises beside cucumbers and squash. That's good to know. I have a climbing squash that's part of my vegetables that I talk about in the other video. We're starting again. Sorry about that. So yeah, the nasturtiums are pretty good. And nasturtiums, they do better in poorer soil. So yeah, you can plant them in areas that it's not great soil, but they'll still do the same job. So calendula, which is also called pot marigold, though it is not a marigold, attracts bees, butterflies, and predatory insects. We've already talked about the benefit of predatory insects. It can deter asparagus beetles and tomato hornworms. I didn't know about the tomato hornworms. I don't usually struggle with those, but my friend down in the valley does. Best near tomatoes and leafy greens. So of course, because of the hornworms, it would be nice near tomatoes. Borage. Borage is also considered an herb, but it has really pretty blue flowers, so it attracts bees. I can attest to that. Bees go for it like crazy. They boost pollination, which of course, if you have bees, you have better pollination, right? Improves soil by adding trace minerals to it. So you would, to get the most from that, you would chop it back incrementally during the summer. You just do what I call chop and drop, where you cut it back in like 1 or 2 inch increments and let it fall to the ground, and then it gets incorporated into the soil. So it's best near tomatoes, strawberries, and cucumbers. So that's number 4. Number 5 is sunflowers. So it acts as a natural trellis for climbing beans, attracts birds that feed on pests, and it's best placed along the north side of the garden so it does not shade anything. But also you want to be careful that there's the allelopathic, things it puts out at the roots that can cause problems with other plants. And I was trying to remember the 2 plants. I think that's tomatoes and something else. I'll put it across. I didn't write it down. I should have written it down here. Yeah, because what that does is it inhibits other things from growing. It's something it puts out into the soil, some kind of property. So alyssum is a beautiful one. I grow it every year. It attracts beneficial insects like lacewings and parasitic wasps. It provides ground cover to reduce weed growth, and best as a border plant along garden beds. Also, it is a trap crop. Aphids are attracted to it, and rather than thinking that would then translate to the aphids moving to the vegetable plants, it doesn't. They stay there. And the lobelia, or the alyssum, not lobelia, but alyssum, lobularia is what some people call it. The alyssum is tough, and it can handle the aphid attack where the vegetables may succumb to it. So that's another benefit of the alyssum. Plus it smells so pretty. And it looks pretty too. So cosmos. This one surprised me. I didn't think the cosmos had that big of a benefit, but it says it draws in bees and butterflies. True. Attracts predatory insects like that feed on aphids. That's the part I didn't know. So it's best near squash and melons. Okay, zinnias. One of the best flowers for attracting butterflies. Yes, zinnias do. Long bloom time for continuous pollination support. Best among cucumbers and pumpkins, and you can use them as a cut flower. The sunflowers you can too, but usually I want the sunflowers to go to seed because they feed the birds through the winter if you let them go to seed, and it's really fun to watch the birds hang from them and peck the seeds out. I have the black oil sunflower seeds that come in the birdseed mixes, and those germinate really easy, grow really well, and they are the ones the birds just absolutely love. So chamomile. Now chamomile is considered an herb, but it does flower. So this one, it brought up the regular taller chamomile, and it attracts hoverflies and ladybugs. It has antifungal properties, beneficial for neighboring plants, and it's best near brassicas and onions. Now, also, I like the creeping chamomile, which is the Roman chamomile, and you can plant it between stepping stones or along the path edges, and it really puts off like a green apple scent when you walk by, but it is just gorgeous and super easy to grow. So lavender. Lavender is considered an herb too, but lavender's also beautiful flowers. It deters deer and rabbits. Yes, they do not like eating it. I guess to them it doesn't taste good. And it attracts bees and other pollinators, and it's best near pathways and garden edges so you can enjoy the scent. Plus, you can cut it, dry it, make sachets with the flowers and other fun things. Lavender wands to hang around. I throw it in the chicken house where it helps deter bugs and pests in there. And yeah, there's a lot of benefits to lavender. That was number 10. Number 11, dill. Yep, I know dill's a herb, but it does have beautiful flowers too, and it attracts parasitic wasps and predatory insects. And it's best near cabbage and cucumbers, but it's also a host plant for the eastern swallowtail butterfly. So one thing about dill, you got to be careful that if you let it go to seed too much, or let it go to seed and don't collect it, it will spread everywhere and become a bully. So be sure and cut it back before either it goes to seed, or as it goes to seed. You may want to collect the seed to use in dishes and what have you, but yeah, make sure you keep it in check. So what else? Nepeta, or catmint. Now there's many varieties. They're shorter, taller, but they attract bees and beneficial insects. I can attest to that. In my garden, they do. They repel aphids and certain pests, even ground pests, like gophers. Don't touch it. Some people say groundhogs. I haven't had experience with that, so I can't speak to that specifically. Deer, leave it alone. Rabbits, leave it alone. So it says to plant it near tomatoes, peppers to help deter the pests. Yes. Now I have a book. Again, I forgot it. It talks about planting a deer-resistant garden that I got a couple years ago, and it really has some interesting ways to plant if you're really having problems with deer. Which plants do they not really care for, and etc. So there are plants that they just steer clear of. Now, it is true that with a super hungry deer, they will eat anything just about, or they'll try things and they end up pulling them out of the ground. I've had like newly planted things that they don't like, and they tested them and they yanked them out of the ground, which was really a pain in the butt. I had to go replant them. So that's where those garbage cans from the Dollar Tree that you can put upside down, and mesh cage ones over top of certain plants to prevent that from happening before the plants get well rooted, and they won't then be a target of the deer pulling them out. So petunias. Now this one did surprise me, but though it's not the one I was talking about at the beginning about being surprised. But petunias repel aphids, tomato hornworms, and leafhoppers. So plus they add such a beautiful color. You can get the trailing ones that trail over the side if you have raised beds. So yeah, they add a lot of color. There are the old-fashioned ones that have a beautiful scent. So you could try those. They are best planted near tomatoes, beans, and brassicas. So that's number 13. Number 14. Now I wanted some for the early vegetable garden, and violas are perfect. They provide early spring color, at least they do here. They smell so beautiful. They smell like spring, and they attract the pollinators. Early pollinators don't have anything else really to go to. They have edible flowers, especially if you candy them. They are so, is it called candied or sugared? I can't remember. But yeah, edible flowers can be used in salads and desserts. I've seen them on like sugar cookies. Really pretty. They're best along pathways and borders for early season interest. They come up really easy by seed. Mine reseed themselves. Now here's the one I was talking about that really surprised me. Zonal geraniums. They help with Japanese beetles. Did you know that? I even looked this up to make sure that this wasn't a bunch of hogwash. And it's true. The beetles will go for the flowers of the zonal geranium. They'll eat them, and it makes them comatose. So then they are lying there just waiting for the birds to pick them up and eat them. Or if you want to go collect them out of your garden, they're right there, comatose. You just dump them in a bucket of soapy water and they're gone. And that helps you to limit or at least bring down the population. But so plant some zonal geraniums if you have a Japanese beetle problem. But they also repel cabbage worms and leaf hoppers. So they are best near cabbage, tomatoes, and other beetle susceptible plants. Did you know that? I didn't. But yeah, it was interesting reading what the USDA something site that had this study, and it showed that that really does work. So yeah, that was 15. Now I know there's more. And if you have read about or found any that work great in your garden, please let me know in the comments below. I'm sure everyone would find that helpful. And, you know, I also, my garden, my vegetable garden isn't just always dedicated to one area. So knowing what flowers to plant next to what vegetables, if I'm putting them out of in my flower beds, then that is really helpful to me. But, you know, I really love the thought of planting flowers in a vegetable garden. I'm reading my thoughts here. So yeah, so you can figure out which ones you want to grow, what is easiest for you. Many of these you can start from seed. Some of them right in the vegetable garden, like the cosmos and the zinnias. Alyssum reseeds itself here for me. Nepeta, I do have a Nepeta. I'm starting from seed, but one thing great about Nepeta, even if you buy one at a garden center, you find some you like. I found one I really like because it stays shorter, and it's called Kitten Around. But you can divide them. You know, after a few years, divide them, then you have more plants. And so you can propagate more and get more of that for free. Yeah, lavender, you can start from cuttings. The chamomile, I don't know. You can start that from seed. You can buy the seeds easily. I haven't started them from seed. I did buy the seeds for the creeping chamomile, and I didn't start it yet. Yeah, so a lot of these you can. I was looking, yeah, most of them you can start from seed very, very easily. So that's great to know. And if you want to know some inexpensive ways, and you didn't see my video on the Seed Starting 101, cost savings for beginners, go back and watch that. And you can see how you can very inexpensively start seeds for your garden, including these flower seeds. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, if you have any that I missed here, I didn't want to get this too long, then please do leave it in the comments below, and we'll all learn together. So there was a saying I was going to start. A viewer actually said it, always be a student of your garden. And that is so, so true. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye.